girls collapse attending Mass in a crowded church in 43-degree heat.
They're putting the health of these children at risk. You know, it's very hot.
A close call from a grass fire. Now for our worst danger day since Black Tuesday. And a blue is banished after King hitting and then kicking one of his own.
Live from the Adelaide studios of Channel 9, this is 9 News with Rob Kelvin and Kelly Nestor.
Good evening. There's parent outrage tonight after as many as 10 private schoolgirls collapsed while attending a Catholic Mass at the height of today's 43-degree heat. They were overcome this afternoon during a service in a Prospect church that doesn't have air conditioning.
Teams of paramedics treat the teenagers as they lay on the floor. At least one reported to have suffered a heat-related seizure. The girls among more than 100 students from Our Lady of Sacred Hearts attending Mass at a Prospect church.
We felt dizzy, so we, my friend Shannon and I went into the room and we laid down for a bit, and then it just got even...
Really hot, wasn't it?
Yeah, really hot.
Lindsay Nowicki's mother didn't realise how hot it could get in the unair-conditioned church.
We've been to here many a time, and as much as it has been warm, it's never been as hot as it has been today.
Lucy Reynolds' mother, Belinda, is furious the service was held while the mercury soared above 40 degrees.
I send my child to school to be educated and to be looked after, to find that her health is put at risk.
The students had made the trip to the Catholic Church by bus earlier this afternoon, driven from their nearby Regency Road campus. Paramedics used ice to treat the girls and all were able to go home with their parents.
This is the sort of thing we've been expecting. Yes, you put in a large number of people in a hot environment like that on a day like this, and this is going to happen.
Several attempts to talk with school management were unsuccessful. Some parents hope a lesson has been learnt.
Why they would have that many children herded into an unair-conditioned church in these hot weather conditions, and I'm not very happy.
Will McDonald, 9 News.
Tomorrow is shaping as another shocking day. The temperature will remain in the 40s and strong winds will make it our worst fire danger day since the deadly Port Lincoln fire 4 years ago. Authorities are even warning of the risk of firestorm in built-up areas through the Adelaide Hills.
A situation that could have been catastrophic. Emergency services narrowly containing a deliberately lit fire in a reserve at Paraka this morning. Tomorrow they may not be as lucky.
We believe that the fire danger forecast for Saturday will be as extreme as we have seen since the Wangari fire.
Adelaide is in for a high of 41 tomorrow, but it'll get to 48 in the Riverland and far north. Sudden wind changes adding to the threat.
We're asking all members of the community to minimise hazardous activities and to activate their bushfire action plan.
Authorities especially fearful for housing in the Adelaide Hills and foothills.
We could be facing a fire storm similar to we've had in California and the same potential losses.
Police will be monitoring high-risk areas for firebugs. Power outages are another thing to watch out for. Last week, thousands of households were affected by controlled blackouts during periods of peak demand. But while electricity chiefs believe reserves should be adequate tonight and tomorrow, ETSA remains prepared.
We've geared up with extra staff to be available to be out on the roads. As soon as we have an outage, we'll be able to do that. We've got extra resources in our call centres.
And as people continue to keep cool, patience is running out.
The garden's gone, so a lot of plants and trees. The power bill's going to be bad.
Selga Berzins, 9 News.
Well, Brenton's doing his best to keep cool by the Victoria Square fountain tonight. Now, Brenton, tell us about today first, and did we break any records?
Kelly, just a short time ago we reached 43.9 and that's in the shade. The all-time record for February for daytime temperatures is 44.3. So there's a bit of a chance we might even break that record for the rest of the day. If not during the day, maybe overnight. We're going for 32 and the warmest night in February on record stands at 32.9, 110 years ago. We'll see this time tomorrow whether we break that record.
OK, let's go to the fire front then, and they're using very strong language in a bid to keep us safe.
Rightly so, Kelly. These are conditions like you and Ferguson just mentioned, similar to that of the Wangari fire back in 2005, and some relating it back even further to the 1983 bushfires of Ash Wednesday. And it's not just us here in South Australia. It's in fact right across the southeastern part of the continent. Very, very strong and gusty winds, northerly at first, then shifting southwest with a wind change. And so therefore fire authorities have issued a red alert day. Total fire bans right across the state, which means those living in high fire risk areas need to activate their bushfire action plans. Decide now whether they're going to stay and defend their property or leave at the start of the day, spend the day down here in the city or in the shopping centres. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Brenton. And we've got more evidence tonight that snakes are moving indoors to get out of the heat. A metre-long children's python was dragged from its hiding spot in a bathroom exhaust fan at Oakton. Mum Julie spotted it as her sons were in the shower.
Very scary, especially with the kids being right underneath where it was.
This snake was non-venomous, but catchers are getting 15 calls a day, mostly for brown snakes. Last week, a woman was bitten in a house in the Flinders Ranges.
The state budget is in crisis, with close to another $1 billion in GST revenue set to disappear in the next 4 years. It'll plunge South Australia into deficit for the foreseeable future, but the government will keep spending.
Canberra's revelation of a $115 billion tax receipt shortfall could only be bad news for the state budget.
A further $880 million of expected GST revenue has vanished.
That means we've lost $1.5 billion since last year's budget. An expected return to surplus in the forward estimates delayed indefinitely.
Well, on today's projections, I have to be honest, all 4 years are in deficit.
But the government's sticking to its big-ticket spending plans, including a $1.7 billion new hospital. But with no further cuts to major projects and no extra job losses, that means borrowing. A lot of borrowing. And that could cost the Treasurer his much-prized AAA credit rating.
The rating agencies may take a view that we do deserve to be at least put on some form of watch. I don't know.
And he has a message for his Liberal counterpart about the federal stimulus package.
He needs to ring Malcolm Turnbull today and beg him and plead with him to stop this destructive blocking.
Turns out he already has.
I'm telling him that I want to see the spending on schools and on roads and on community housing.
Tom Richardson, 9 News.
The state government has found $4.5 million for South Australia's biggest tourism campaign. It's aimed at busy interstate travellers with less time and money on their hands.
Those people who won't be travelling overseas because of the low dollar, who won't be travelling overseas because of international uncertainty, they'll still be looking for holidays, and we've got a holiday destination for them.
The tourism industry has put in a further $3 million to keep the ad blitz running until June.
There are calls for the police staff force and dog squad to be used against a gang of graffiti vandals who've taken to hijacking passenger trains. They're tampering with the signalling system to stop the trains and launch their attacks.
The latest brazen attack happened on Saturday night after a train left Noarlunga Centre for the city. It was forced to stop at Christie Downs after the vandals tampered with the signalling system. While the train was stationary, 10 masked men covered the carriages in paint.
There's a real cult-type behaviour between these unlawful groups of people.
When the train arrived here at Brighton half an hour later, it was attacked by another 4 graffiti vandals. Police aren't sure if they're connected with the gang at Christie's. The attack has raised serious concerns about public safety.
I want to know how it's happened, why it's happened, and we need to make sure it's not going to happen again. This time it was a graffiti attack. Next time it could be a derailment or something worse.
Regular train users have had enough, saying stations are often covered in tags as well as broken glass.
They should have to pay, and if they can't, the parents should have to pay.
Independent MP Bob Such, who's been campaigning against graffiti for years, says it's time to tackle the gangs with force.
I think we need the staff force out and also the dog squad, because these people can't outrun a German Shepherd.
He says legislation's just been introduced to Parliament which would see convicted offenders face up to 10 years in jail. Michael Smith, 9 News.
A woman has told police how she bit a would-be rapist as he tried to attack her in the South Parklands in broad daylight. The 27-year-old woman was walking on a path just before 1 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon when a man who looks like this dragged her into a creek bed. She managed to escape after biting his hands.
It's of particular concern to us that this happened at lunchtime during the day on Wednesday. Young lady just going about her business walking through the parklands.
The man is in his late 30s. If you recognise him, call Bankers A Crime Stoppers.
A mother and father from Elizabeth Vale have been charged with bashing their 2 infant children. The babies have been in the Women's and Children's Hospital since Wednesday night, being treated for serious head and upper body injuries. Their parents, a man 31 and a woman 34, will face court next month, charged with criminal neglect and causing serious harm. They've been released on bail.
An extraordinary fight has erupted between 2 teammates at an AFL training match. A Carlton player king-hit a colleague and then kicked him while he was down. The club has moved quickly to hand the offender an indefinite suspension.
It was the last thing you'd expect to see in a match with teammates up against teammates. Late in the third quarter, Satanta O'Halpin snapped, letting loose on Cameron Cloke. After King hitting him, the Irishman then kicked him as he lay motionless on the ground. As teammates rushed in, a dazed Cloke tried to get to his feet.
It's not part of our game, and we'll sit down with Satanta and work through that. We look at it as a poor act.
With a bloodied eye, Cloke was taken from the field, a doctor attending to a cut above his eye. Neither player took any further part in the match. Cloke not keen to comment. What will you say to him? The incident leaving everyone at the ground rattled.
Hopefully he'll be back, we can get around him and support him, but it's pretty unfortunate.
Cameron's, not seriously injured or anything, and not harbouring a grudge. Carlos, regrets what happened.
AFL umpires officiating the match referred the matter straight to the league. The AFL requested Nine's vision, and it will now be investigated by the match review panel on Monday. But O'Halpin's career could be over. The club suspending him indefinitely while he undergoes anger management classes.
I think you looked around and there's a lot of jaws open to say, did that really happen?
And fans asking, was there anything behind the extraordinary outburst?
Is there any bad blood between those 2?
You'll have to ask them that.
Christina Hearn, 9 News.
And 2 of Australia's best cricketers have admitted to a change room stoush. Michael Clarke and Simon Katich came to blows after beating South Africa in the Sydney Test. Katich grabbed his vice-captain by the throat because Clarke wanted to sing the team song early so he could leave and join fiancée Lara Bingle.
Sorted out there and then. Cato and I are fine. We've spoken plenty of times. We had a good catch-up the other night at the Allan Border Medal, and all's good, mate.
Clarke denies his relationship is causing team tension.
7 people have waded to safety after a light plane crashed in Darwin Harbour. The pilot was forced to ditch after losing engine power immediately after takeoff. He and his passengers all escaped unhurt.
Yeah, we're all good. Everyone's okay.
Everyone's okay?
The plane came to rest on a sandbar in about half a metre of water.
And the American pilot who recently brought an airliner down safely in the Hudson River has received even more praise. Newly released recordings show how amazingly calm he remained in the final moments before splashdown.
2 minutes into the flight and birds slam into the Airbus, hitting the windscreen and stalling the engines.
This is Cactus 1539. Hit birds to lost thrust on both engines, returning back towards LaGuardia.
Okay, you need to return to LaGuardia. Turn left heading up 220.
220.
And now we hear just how calm Captain Sully Sullenberger remained. Also, the air traffic controller.
Tower, stop your departures. Got emergency returning. Bird strike. He lost all engine. He lost the thrust in the engines. He's returning immediately.
The captain realises he can't make it back.
We can get it for you. Do you want to try to land 1013?
We're unable. We may end up in the Hudson.
Now the captain and crew have told America's 60 Minutes about those dramatic few minutes.
It was the worst, sickening, pit of your stomach falling through the floor feeling I've ever felt in my life. I knew immediately it was very bad.
Back on the ground, the controller suggests that he head to a closer airport.
Unable.
Cactus 1549, runway 4 is available.
I'm not sure we can make any runway. What's over to our right? Anything in New Jersey, maybe Teterboro?
But even the closest airport was too far away.
Turn right 280, you can land runway 1 at Teterboro.
The captain, still remarkably calm, says they're going in.
We can't do it. We're going to be in the Hudson.
Next, the call for emergency services.
You get anybody, you send them right over to the Lincoln Tunnel. We had a Cactus Airbus go down in the water.
Passengers and crews scrambled out to safety, all 155 on board, alive. Robert Penfold, 9 News, Los Angeles.
It'll be an emotional night for Adelaide basketball tomorrow for two reasons. After more than 500 games, captain Brett Maher will play what could be his last at home. The 35-year-old will be going out in front of former teammate who's fighting his own life and death battle.
The year is 1992 and 18-year-old Brett Maher makes his debut, buddying up with fellow teenager Brett Wheeler. The pair exchange passes and locker room jokes for 6 years.
Brett's touched so many guys' hearts in basketball. He's one of the genuine nice guys of basketball.
Tomorrow night, the two Bretts reunite at the distinctive Holmes Dome, where Maher makes what is most likely his final outing in front of his adoring fans.
To have a big crowd here and to run out in front of that crowd for possibly the last time will be very emotional.
Adding to the emotion will be the presence of Wheeler. The 35-year-old has an incurable liver disease. Maher, one of the basketball family who has rallied behind him.
I'm not one to sort of ask for a lot of help, and it's come forth, and that's what's been most flattering about, and just proves the amazing friendships I have around the league.
He remains positive despite the prospect of a transplant.
There's no point in worrying about it until that day comes, and right now I feel great.
First, there's the immediate issue of cheering home Adelaide's number 5, the man his coach describes as the greatest player to ever wear a 36ers singlet.
The bottom line is he's irreplaceable.
Vicky Schwartz, 9 News.
Oh, what champions, and good luck.
Now, Troy's here now, and it's a tough one for the Reds tomorrow night, Troy.
Yeah, very tough, Rob. In fact, they haven't beaten the Victory at all this season, but as you both know, finals are a whole different ballgame. Hi everyone, more on the Reds after the break. Also tonight, the Australian top order struggles again, but Clark and Hussey lead the fight back. And McLeod and Goodwin prepare to go head-to-head. Cricket first, and Australia is defending only a modest total in Game 2 of the one-day series against New Zealand. After a nervous start, standing captain Michael Clark steadied the ship, but fell for 98. In his debut, Redback Callum Ferguson made 6 not out, chasing 225. The Kiwis were 1 for 21 a short time ago.
Shane Warne presented cap 171 to Callum Ferguson, the South Australian replacing an injured Shaun Marsh. Denying his dressing room clash with Simon Kadich had created team disharmony, standing captain Michael Clark opened. Partner Dave Warner brought back to earth for only 2.
Big wicket, beautifully bowled, but that's pressure.
Boos for the promoted Brad Haddon. Reminders of his recent glove controversy, briefly silenced by the keeper batsman.
First boundary, and it's a beauty.
But on 12, a faint edge, heard by former Australian bowler turned umpire Paul Rifle. Clark's bat sounded better.
Down the ground it goes.
Australia in strife at 3 for 63. David Hussey run out for 10, replaced by his brother.
Nice way to start, Mike Hussey.
Hussey and Clark's partnership produced 133, but even in the batting power play, the run rate was hardly redlining as Mitchell Johnson and James Hopes took the mickey out of the Clark-Kadich clash. Trying to up the ante, Hussey was hauled in by Martin Guptill, who couldn't claim the catch.
Now what you've got to do is you've got to control the ball and your actions inside the field, and he doesn't do that.
A toe crusher may have broken bones as well as Clark's concentration, agonisingly short of his 4th one-day 100, out for 98. Ferguson got the thumbs up to bat at the death. Cameron White, 17, the cameo to boost Australia to 225. Andrew McKinlay, 9 News.
The Crows will train in Darwin this evening ahead of tomorrow night's game against the All-Stars, a match that'll pit Simon Goodwin and Andrew McLeod head-to-head as rival captains. Corey Norris is there and has the latest.
The Crows will hit the track here at TIO Stadium in just over an hour, their final workout before tomorrow night's game. Andrew McLeod and his All-Stars went through their paces this morning, the skipper insisting the clash is more than just an exhibition. Don't be fooled by their smiles. From tomorrow afternoon, Andrew McLeod and Simon Goodwin will put their allegiances aside.
Fair dinkum, Gray. We'll be out there to win, no doubt. So that's all we've talked about all week is preparing to win.
I saw in the paper we're lining up on each other today, so we haven't worked that out yet.
The respective coaches also quick to dismiss the game will be all fun and flair.
We want to win, and I guess Adelaide want to win for their preparation.
I think it's not just an exhibition game by any stretch of the imagination, so it's going to be that competitive aspect.
The All-Stars' greatest weapon will be their leg speed, with the powers Sean Burgoyne, Daniel Motlop and Pearce impressing at this morning's session. McLeod moved smoothly, but how much game time he gets remains a coaching mystery.
I'm sure Chris won't play him for the full game, and that's fine.
But what we've been told and what we're going to do are two different things.
We're all in for a very interesting contest here tomorrow night. Two sides desperate to show their wares and put on a good show for the locals. Back to you.
Thanks, Corey. Adelaide United coach Aurelio Vidmar says his side's Asian finals experience will help break their hoodoo against Melbourne victory. The sides face off in their first league semi-final at Hindmarsh tomorrow. Both teams will be tested by the heat, but Vidmar's men are ready.
The Reds have trained throughout Adelaide's record heat wave, and tomorrow night they could be playing in conditions above 40 degrees.
They're fit, they're healthy. Not much you can do about it. I believe a change is coming in around about 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So let's hope it's a nice, cool one.
They'll need to be at their best against an intimidating Melbourne outfit. The Reds wary of antagonistic skipper Kevin Muscat.
He just tries to get under your skin. For me, it's not a problem because I don't listen to him.
He's just too smart. He's just too clever.
United hasn't beaten the victory this season.
There's no monkey off the back. We haven't thought about it. We haven't really talked about what's happened in the past with Melbourne victory.
Vidmar says finals are different, and his team will be calling on its experience from the Asian Champions League deciders.
We've actually been able to taste a final of that magnitude, so certainly it puts us in good stead, I'd say.
Andrew Montesi, 9 News.
Go the Reds. Wraps it up for sport.
Thanks, Troy.
Thank you.
Let's see how the markets ended the week. The All Ords closed 34 points higher, but the National Australia Bank lost ground after revealing its bad debt charges for the December quarter. Our dollar is stronger at 65.3 US cents.
With a day of extreme danger looming, Brenton's forecast is even more important than usual.
Yes, he'll bring us the latest from the Bureau in just a moment. Stay with us.
Hello folks, well as we've already mentioned tonight, extreme fire risk tomorrow, and in view of that risk, the national parks through the Mount Lofty Ranges and Fleurieu Peninsula will be closed from midnight tonight for a full 24 hours, so you'll need to reschedule plans if you've got something booked in there for the national parks over the weekend. Today a top of 43.9, almost reaching the all-time February record of 44.3, overnight low of 21, we're sitting on around 42 at the moment. Let's look at the satellite picture. There's a high in situ east of Tassie that will move east, allowing a trough to develop along the coast. A bit of cloud building up with that trough. Dry, hot at first with fresh to strong and gusty northerly winds ahead of a significant change with strong and gusty southwest to southerly winds expected to reach Adelaide around lunchtime. Now around the nation, 28 for Perth, extreme fire danger right across the southeast of the continent, Melbourne 44 and Canberra 40. Now tomorrow back home will be a day of extreme fire danger with total fire bans in force for the entire state. As I mentioned, activate your bushfire action plan and stick by it. Talk about it with the rest of your family and don't get yourself caught out on the roads. Strong winds are forecast for all waters and the heat health warning is being reinforced by SA Health and the SES. Pollen levels also quite extreme there as well. Now temperatures across the state, 28 overnight, then 43 for both Clare and Murray Bridge. Elsewhere 33 overnight at Port Augusta and soaring to 48 at Renmark and Roxby Downs. Now for the waters tomorrow, winds strengthening to northwest, 20 to 30 knots early morning ahead of a change from the southwest, 20 to 30 knots around midday, then easing slightly by nightfall with seas ranging between 1.5 and 2.5 metres. Now for the weekend fishing, garfish are liking the calm, warm waters at the moment, and you should find them off the Glenelg jetty at night or the Thai Reef if you're in the boat, as well as the outer edge of Wonga Shoal. Snapper are taking the bait at Port Stanvac and further afield at Marion Reef, Edithburg and the Illusion Wreck at Port Broughton. King George is off the banks at Hardwick Bay. Now for Adelaide, we've done so well so far. Don't give up yet. Just another 24 hours of extreme weather. We might even break a record tonight, 32. The warmest night for February on record was 32.9. Set back in 1899. 41 as a top, will be reaching by late morning, then a gusty change from the southwest around lunchtime with temperatures stable in the mid-30s for most of the afternoon. It'll still feel very hot though with high humidity, making it very, very uncomfortable. Then for the next 7 days, Sunday will finally see temperatures fall to the mid-20s, 20 degrees less than last week's record maximum of 45.7. Then we're back down to the mid-teens for overnight temperatures into the mid-20s. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Thanks, Raggy. And if you're dreaming of somewhere cool to escape to, the man with all the ideas is our own Keith Conlon. He reports now from Adelaide's famous Holiday Expo.
This is going to be one of the coolest spots on the weekend too. In fact, you can travel the world in here at the After Sunday Mail Holiday Expo. Mauritius, for instance, they're one of the international operators, the newest, about a dozen of them here. You can do everything from backpacking to 5-star, from round the corner to China, just thinking about it in here at least. Now, this afternoon, the shorts booklet was launched for 2009. That's all South Australia. At least 50 more deals. And if you fancy adventure, well, try a biplane over McLaren Vale. They're new. And a touch of class, well, Martindale Hall in the Clare Valley. 12,000 people or so will be in over the weekend planning their holidays for maybe next week or even next year. And don't forget, pick up one of these.
Good on you, Keith. That's the news for tonight. Have a great weekend.
Stay cool until the change arrives, and we'll see you Monday.